So it is a miserably warm day here in Chicago, and also I'm just getting over a cold, so it's the perfect occasion for drinking some Armagnac. Uh, let's get these poured. Armagnac has been getting increasingly prominent in the U.S. I think especially because it's one of the first places of refuge for people who just kind of get tired of how silly bourbon is getting. Not the only place, but it's one of the more prominent places. But that can also be a little bit misleading because not all Armagnac is the same. I'm sorry, I'm trying to like have myself be seen behind this wall of like wooden crates. You see, not all Armagnac is this kind of L'Encantada kind of wall of wood and cinnamon kind of style. They're not all like that. And it really depends on the producer and the region and the grapes, what they're going to be like. Sorry, I'm making a giant pile of cardboard and wood down there. And there's no better example of kind of what you get once you get outside of that aggressive wood rules all sort of style than Domaine de Baraillon. These are actually available in the U.S. for once. I'm reviewing something that you can actually get in the U.S. But sadly only in California right now. I think it's only K&L wines that are really bringing this in. You may have other avenues for getting them, particularly if you have a passion for whiskey, and that's all I'll mention. But yeah, for the moment, these might be a little bit tough to come by in the other 49 states. So let's talk about these people. Domaine de Baraillon, I believe it's the Claverie family that owns the property. And basically, if you think of, so you have the big kind of aristocratic negociant Armagnac makers like d'Artigalon, who've been around, who wear nice clothes and are very proper and hang around in the cities a lot, and even my beloved Terry Quay, who's I believe mostly a grower producer, are very they're very relatively urbane. They understand the nuances of markets in France and throughout the world. I don't get the sense Baraillon is like that. These seem like just farmers who make really good booze. And I respect, I'm expecting you to just roll up to their place right in the center of Bas-Armagnac, and they're going to come out in their boots and welcome you with, a cup of hot, strong coffee and maybe a glass of Armagnac. Anyways, so these are smaller producers. It's one family. They do seem to make a lot of stuff, but it's just them, right? Like they're just farming all their own stuff. Okay, okay. And so I got three examples here. I've got the 20-year-old of ambiguous branding. We'll get to this. And then I got a 2002 and a 1987. A word of caution about Baraillon. They do different bottlings of the same year. So you really have to pay attention to the ABVs. And if they put them on there, the bottling dates, because that's going to tell you kind of which batch you're getting. Because there's going to be lots of different 2002s and 1987s and 20-year-olds running around out there. So be wary of that. Just because somebody trashed on the 1987 doesn't mean the next batch you're going to get isn't going to be, fantastic. And the batches have got to be only like a barrel or two, I'm guessing. Okay, enough of my babbling. Let's get some tasting notes to the table. Starting out with the 20-year-old. Now, what makes this weird is it does not say Baraillon anywhere on here. In fact, when I got my my package, which was not from overseas at all, I thought maybe they'd sent me the wrong bottle because it didn't say Baraillon on here. Look at this. You've got a basically featureless cardboard box that just says Armagnac on it. And on the label, the most prominent thing is SCEA Claverie, right? Which SCEA is basically an agricultural collective. So this is the the collective for the Claverie family. So, but again, it's the same family as listed on the two baryons, so it's the same producers, right? Nevertheless, despite the fact that every website I've seen lists these bottlings, and there's a couple of them, there's like a 10-year-old, there's a bunch, as baryons, I'm going to call it a Claverie because that just seems right. Okay, so this is from, I'm going to get this name of the city wrong, Lannemaignan, right in the center of Bas-Armagnac. They farm Baco, Colombard, and Ugni Blanc. This particular batch was bottled in October 19th, 2021. Okay, and bottled at 42%. That's a kind of common theme here. The ABVs do not get very high on these, so you would think, oh, they must not have much character to them, right? Then, right? Right? On the nose. Rustic. Rustic is the word for this. Oh man! So a first whiff of this might send the bourbon crowd running off screaming. I mean, there's lots of mud in this. First of all, like nice mud, but it's definitely like mud. If you are the kind of person who loves, I mean, I feel like the majority of human beings on this planet will not be into this nose. But if you like Loire Valley Cabernet Francs, stinky Belgian saisons, right? Like that kind of thing. Mainland peated scotches, then like if this is the kind of thing you like, you're really gonna like this. Like it's just gonna be totally your jam. You get mud, raisins, black pepper, lemon peel, orange peel. There's actually a lot of floral stuff going on here too, like some dried flowers, but then like just lots of mud and twigs and leaves. It's really earthy and grungy, this stuff. There's some coffee, like you ever had Yunnan coffee, like Chinese coffee from Yunnan province? Go try some if you haven't. Yeah, like Yunnan coffee grinds, some figs, some prunes, a couple of fresh berries, like wild berries, clove, cinnamon, tea, Yunnan tea. As long as we're talking about it, like really good pu'er. Some Dr. Pepper in this. I mean, it's really like this. It's very earthy and mysterious and kind of alluring if you're into that sort of thing. It definitely does not smell like a bourbon drinker's Armagnac. No way at all. All right, on the palate with this. Oh ho. Oh ho. Very good. Very rustic, very rustic. Like I feel like I'm like a Allied soldier walking through, Southwest France looking for Nazis to shoot, and some family just calls me in and gives me some of their brandy, and I'm like, whew, this is the good stuff. That's kind of the image I'm getting with this. Mostly follows the nose on the palate. There's some dried fruit kind of stuff going on. There's some raisin, but I mean, it's all about mud and dirt and like coffee, all the coffee. Grinds, brewed, like grungy, slightly, day-old grinds. Lemon peel, a lot of lemon peel on this. Cinnamon stuff, yeah. Like orange slice, like the orange slice candy, those things. Tea notes again, like overstewed Darjeeling. Some floral notes again, like a little bit of like dried flowers, or even potpourri. We're even getting into potpourri territory a little bit. Dr. Pepper again. Kind of just mixed dried fruit, like you throw in some raisins and like figs and maybe some dried apricots in there. Saddle leather. Some kind of like bitter honey, like a bitter forest honey. And then like a, what is that? Almost a saddle leather note. Like I just like went up to a horse saddle and took a big bite out of it. But nice. Again, bourbon drinkers, this is not your thing. Stay far, far away. Yeah, but again, if this is your jam, this is really going to be your jam. I guess a couple of drops of water. Not a lot because it's only 42%, but we'll come back to that after we try the others. All right, next up is the 2002 Domaine de Baraillon Bas-Armagnac. This is bottled in November 15th, 2020 at 46% alcohol, so a little stronger now. All right, let's see what we got here. Same mix of grapes, Baco Colombard, and some Ugni Blanc. Here we go, on the nose. Interesting. So very similar, as you would expect. These are even similar ages, right? This is what, 18-ish versus 20, so a hair bit younger. Yeah, similar but fresher. It's more, you're getting less mud and more like tobacco stuff. So Cuban cigars, maybe some like Oriental tobacco in there, a little like very citrus-driven tobacco. Perique as well. But then you're getting kind of that same lemon, you know, or even more like a lemon lime Sprite sort of note. Little dirt, little twigs, some golden raisins, cinnamon, cardamom. Like an old armchair or something like that. A little bit of like a quince note, almost like a quince pie kind of thing. So like, yeah, like a quince desserty something or other. Okay, and a little bit of that floral thing, but not quite as much. We're dialing back the flowers and the mud a little bit. So okay, let's see what happens on the palate. Oh my God. Tons of black pepper and tobacco. It's like I just put an entire tobacconist shop in my mouth and started chewing on it. Loads of dried lemon, like dried flowers, dried fruit, raisin, dirt, twigs, mud, leaves, but then like cinnamon, clove, cardamom again, quince again. Actually, quite a lot of quince now that I'm paying attention to it. Coffee notes. Kenyan coffee this time. Coffee and coffee grinds, like fresh coffee grinds. That Darjeeling tea note, kind of like that old armchair note again. Like I'm licking a Victorian armchair, but nice. Yeah, really good. So fresher than the previous one. I'm not sure if I think it's necessarily better though. Hold on, let me go back to this. It's a really aggressive kind of like almost lemony note that's not as present in this 2002, at least not yet at this point in its lifetime. But let's give it a squirt of water, and we'll come back to it. Oh, these are so good. I mean, you really have to be into the grunge for these, but the quality is there. Regardless of personal taste, the quality is absolutely there. Okay, and finally we have a Baraillon 1987. This was bottled in June 14th, 2021. So we're getting up there age-wise. 43% on this one. Domaine de Baraillon 1987, Bas-Armagnac. Okay. Yeah, this nose is a little bit on another level. You'd expect it to be throwing more and more like oaky notes at you, some more kind of dried fruit stuff and that sort of thing. But it's really not. It's really more all about like lemon and mud, and I absolutely love it. That's phenomenal. Mud and lemon, lemon and mud, cinnamon, coffee grinds, like stewed berries, like stewed wild berries, like you've just picked a bunch of different sorts of berries off of the bushes and threw them in a pot together and kind of that sort of thing. Lots of old teas, lots of like just old tobaccos. Hints of like Macallan at its best, but this is so much more grungy and earthy and kind of, ugly than Macallan is. And more dirt. Oh, and black pepper and flowers for days. I know that the descriptors on that may sound similar to some of the previous ones. I mean, I guess that's true. In a way, actually, the number of flavors here is more limited than say the 2002. But it's just the flavors that are there are so much deeper and more three-dimensional. Like I really just like feel like I have a mud ball and a lemon in front of me and I'm smelling them. And I'm so seduced by that. All right, let's see what happens on the palate. Oh God. It's the acidity that gets me. It's the sour on this that completely seduces me. Oh, the acidity is wonderful. Again, mud and cinnamon and lemon, but like layered and perfect and gorgeous. I love it. So it's, you're getting a basket of berries and like coffee beans and many fine cigars and like you're squirting lemon juice all over it. That's kind of what's going on here. And the pepper and the flowers. Did I mention those? Lots of pepper and lots of flowers. Oh. God, it's so good. It wears its kind of rustic nature on its sleeve. Like there's no mistaking this for anything put out by some big multinational corporation. This is completely foreign to that. And God, it's good. Wonderful finish. Like the spicy coffee thing and the mud and the lemon just hang on forever. Oh God, it's fantastic. Okay, I'm gonna give this a squirt of water. We'll see what happens. Not too much. 2, 3, 4, like 5 drops. Okay. And let's go through these again. So, needless to say, I am enjoying these quite a lot. Like this is just my style. I love these more distillate driven, everything, but especially armagnacs, where I feel like what's coming off the still is speaking to me through the oak, rather than the oak just using that as a vehicle to be woody and spicy and whatever. And you just get the feeling, especially from this 87, that these just get better as they get older. Like as the tertiary notes start to build and kind of take over from the notes just from the distillate and just from the wood themselves. Oh, sorry. Anyways, I'm going to stop waxing, and we'll give you some additional tasting notes now that these have had some water and a little bit more time. All right, back to the 20-year-old, the Claverie, on the nose. It gets a little bit more kind of floral fruity and aromatic. There's some kind of like beautiful curacao notes happening now, which I appreciate. I mean, it smelled good before and it still smells good. Let's see what happens on the palate. Ooh. Okay, so water brings out the woody elements, sort of the bitterness and the tannins on the back end, and the sour elements a little bit more in a really good way. Wow, this really kind of stretches out the finish. Like, I am feeling the finish like deep into my throat here, and I'm enjoying it. Extremely drying and extremely rustic and totally gorgeous. And these even aren't all that expensive. I mean, not relative to the age and really, really not relative to the quality you're getting. I'm going to give this 89 points. 89 points for the Claverie Baraillon 20-year-old, whatever this brand is. And let's move on. Back to the 2002. Let's see what we got. By the way, aging is always a little bit tricky on armagnacs because you have to ask yourself: is the vintage they're giving you, is that the vintage of the grape harvest or when it was distilled? Because depending on how long the fermentation is going, and like how long they're waiting around for the guy with the still and with the horse-drawn still to like roll on up to their house to actually distill what they've got, like, you know, you could be talking like an additional, almost like the better part of a year before what was harvested actually, you know, goes out of the top of your, you know, your column or whatever. So always something to keep in mind. Doesn't matter that much, probably not, but I cannot actually tell you, was this distilled or harvested in 2002, because I don't know. But nevertheless, let's see where this goes on the nose. Once again, it's kind of the flowers that come out on this. A little bit more pepper too, and a little bit of kind of berry jam happening. Okay, it's still, again, it's not as muddy as the other two. It's more about like tobacco-y notes than mud. All right, let's see what happens on the palate. Kind of mostly the same, actually. Like, it's still bringing this kind of hardcore, peppery, tobacco-y tea thing, which I like, and I like a lot. Only problem is I don't think I like it quite as much as the 20-year-old. Hold on, let me try this again. It's the sour. It's the sour that's missing on this 2002. Not to say there isn't enough sour there to make a bourbon drinker uncomfortable. Again, you know, Buffalo Trace fans, leave the room. This is not for you. But it's kind of lacking in the acidity of the other two, if that makes sense. It's not bringing quite as much lemon and sour berry to the table. Still just really, really good, though. Just a hair less dimension than the others. I'm going to give this an 88 points out of 100. It's real good. This is very good. And we will move on to the 87. Yeah. Man, when Armagnac is on, it's just on, y'all. Okay, let's try the 87 one more time. This time, did I mention this was bottled at 43%? I feel like I said that at some point, but if I didn't, I just said it just then. 43%, but of course I brought it down now, and we're gonna see what happens on the nose. Oh my god. I mean, yeah, it's just this like wrapped up wad of mud and sour stuff and tobacco and pepper and tea and coffee and flowers. I mean, it's approaching like old Mar levels of intensity here. And that's high praise from me. It just smells dense and complex and like really rustic and really good. Okay, on the palate, here we go. So you took like a coffee cake with sour lemon icing with some actual coffee dumped over it too. And then you just buried it in pipe tobacco and cigars and black pepper all day long and mud. I mean, it's just phenomenal. This is really, really, really good. And the finish just goes and goes and goes and goes, and it does that same thing, like going back into my throat as the first one. This is phenomenal stuff. I'm gonna give this 90 plus out of 100, which is a big score, but it calls for it. These Baraillons are serious. You have to be prepared for what you're getting yourself into. Don't just look at the score, okay? Like, don't just like be doing, like scraping my reviews for, pure numbers and thinking that's going to tell you the whole story. Do not just look at this. You have to know, are you willing to tolerate the levels of like lemon and mud that these things are going to drop on you? If you are, like, go grab yourself a bottle of whatever you can get. But if you're not, don't resist that temptation, because you're probably just gonna end up not liking this very much. Yeah, quite a flight here. I'm impressed. These are really good. These are really, really good. 89 for the 20-year-old, 88 for the 2002 vintage, and a 90 plus for the 87 here. Excellent. Really, really excellent. Thanks for watching, and cheers.